There's something happening on the TV. Brilliant colors flashing in front of me. My heart just stopped, eyes open wide. This might be heaven, but I haven't died. I'm a fire throwing plumber with a golden axe. I'm stalking a robot, setting bombs on wall cracks. My arm is a gun, I hit a home run. Can't believe I just won. He cries as his character dies, but our lives will rise, eyes on the prize. As I defy demise with a surprise. Show them a code that gives us 30 lives. Dodging red turtle shells as I speed ahead. Buying weapons and armor for the battle I dread. Desperate for med kits cause of all I've bled. Building so tall of a wall to keep out the undead. And bump them with my head. Super Mega Graphics 64. Retro games and way more. All of the titles we all adore. Best of today and all that came before. There's way too much awesome for us to contain, cause this here channel is all about these games. Super Mega Graphics, oh yeah. Super Mega Graphics, oh my. Super Mega Graphics, that's what I said. Super Mega Graphics, hosted by Cy. Super Mega Graphics 64. Retro games and a whole lot more. All of the titles that we adore. The best of today and what came before. There's too much awesome to contain, cause this channel's all about the games. Yeah! Yeah!
Good day. It's a good day for me. I got my coffee. I got my very nice 6-button controller that I prefer, the Hori fighting controller for the PC Engine and Super Grafx. And we got the Super Grafx going. I have full transparency. I have tested the system, so it does work. Cool guy, love Max. He gave me Pat Cottry's Super Nintendo book, that big book, which is actually a really cool book. So it's sitting up there next to the boombox Max got me. Max is a really good dude. You know, thank you for being here, Max. You got the pinned comment, even though you didn't really comment. But thank you for being here. PJ, also in the house. PJ, my partner in crime on the Super Duper Retro Show. PJ's an awesome friend of mine. Really gotten to know him over the past year, and we've done several. I couldn't even tell you how many collaborative streams we've done on Papa Pete's channel, on Casey's, you know, hanging out with Casey, on my channel. PJ, thank you for being here. You've helped me get so much ColecoVision. You can't see it, it's up here. You know, this right here, this thing, this crazy thing, this came from PJ. PJ's awesome. PJ's a great guy. I've tried to help PJ a little bit, you know, not as much as he's helped me, but I will make it up to him at some point. But thank you, PJ, for being such a good friend of mine. Metal Torso, we always love hanging out with Metal Torso. He's got fun things to say and good perspectives and input. So you are most welcome here, Metal Torso. Or as I like to call him, the Iron Chest. The Iron Chest. I was watching Andor the other day. I was watching the last few episodes. This is not a spoiler, don't worry. But there's a scene where this stormtrooper guy hands this other guy like an armored vest and like hits him in the chest. He's like, "Here you go." And I immediately thought Metal Torso. I am not lying. And that immediately popped in my head. So anyway, thanks for being here, Metal Torso. And my buddy Evil Drunky Cheese is here. Drunky Cheese, great friend of mine. You guys, we're doing a little history, I guess. Not much, but a little. I've known Evil for many years. Evil's been a good friend of mine. You know, we share a passion for the retro video game. This is the cornerstone of our friendship. Super Nintendo and NES. I think that's the two, the there should be a third one if it's going to be a trifecta, but it's 2 at least. It's the Master System, I guess. We could do Master System. There's the trifecta. But Evil has given me he's turned me on to so many hacks, like modern homebrew hacks of like classic Super Nintendo games and stuff like that I would have never found otherwise. Some really cool stuff. There's a Batman game for the NES. It's like a dark version of Batman, the first Batman game. That's really cool. There's some other games on Super Nintendo. They're like improved versions of other games. So if you guys are curious about modern hacks, improvements, and stuff like that, which we're going to look at some of that today for Supergrafx too, by the way. Talk to Evil. Talk to Drunky Cheese. He goes by Drunky Cheese now. He used to be called Evil Streams. We still, whatever. You call him what you want. Just don't call him late for dinner. That was I'll drink my coffee. That was not good. My apologies. Cringe Lord. I am the Cringe Lord. I am aware of that. I own it. And I'm happy about it today. It's fine. But anyway, Evil's a good friend of mine. And, like I said, we make friends all over the place. Hopefully you can. Hopefully we do. We try to make friends, right? And it's funny how you meet people in different ways and you become, you share things and you become like friends with each other. It's very interesting how it happens. Sometimes it happens when you don't expect it, and in weird circumstances where you wouldn't think you would meet somebody who's going to be like an ongoing friend, but it does happen. So I'm very grateful for all of that, for all the opportunities that I've had to meet people, hang out with people, and have a good time on the internet and not get caught up in what tends to happen, which is a bunch of weirdness. And I don't like that. I don't seek that out. And I know you guys understand what I'm saying. So thank you guys for being friends. I really do appreciate it. Drunky Cheese, is it buffering on your side or is it just me? Ooh. Well, I hope it's not. I'm not seeing anything on my side that's like that. Let's see. PJ says mine kept cutting out. Still is. Oh no. Oh no. I'm not showing any drop frames. The thing is green. It's not giving me any weird colors. Ooh, that's not good. Wiley, what's up? Hey, Mr. M in chat. What's up, Wiley? How you doing? Seems stable now. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm getting attacked, like a denial of service attack. Maybe that's what it is. Some people can't stand to see me talk about video games. It does happen. I mean, I'm not saying that has happened, but it's possible. Let's see. Thanks, Cyrus. No problem. No problem. Glad to have you here. What's up? What's Jon Snow up to? He's laying down right over here. He's chilling. He was watching his stories on the TV earlier, which is the YouTube birds and squirrels videos. He was watching those for a while. He was very interested in this giant pigeon for a minute. He got all the way up to the TV, gave it a real good look, and then realized something wasn't right about it, and he just got bored and walked off. But he was very interested for a brief period of time. He's pretty smart. He figures stuff out. Smarter than me. PJ says, okay, work is done. Let the weekend begin. I am anxious to see this Super Grafx. Oh, well, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be Super Grafxing today. Highly appreciate it. Well, thank you, Junkie. Thank you. Metal Torso, it's good now. Buffering was earlier. Kuya with the cat. Kuya with the cat. Kuya, thank you for being here also. So anyway, like I said, today it's all about Super Grafx stuff, talking about this thing. It's a very fascinating console. I was pulling up the stats. It's so funny because back in the day when I very first found out about the Super Grafx, I believe it was in Electronic Gaming Monthly, and they would list like the specs for consoles, and they had the specs totally wrong. So for years, I misunderstood what was actually going on with the Super Grafx, like what was inside this thing, because Electronic Gaming Monthly had claimed that this thing had a processor that was basically 15 megahertz. It's going to be a bunch of nerd stuff here for a second. The reason that's relevant is because the PC Engine TurboGrafx has a processor that runs at 7.16 megahertz. Okay, so basically they were saying it was twice as fast, which is not true. It has the same CPU. It's a processor that runs as the same as the TurboGrafx and PC Engine, but it does have additional stuff in it. It has more RAM, has 4 times the RAM of the PC Engine, and has a second video chip. So it has 2 video processors in it, which is how you get multiple layers of scrolling and stuff like that, because it's literally like it's the same process basically that Sega took on when they did the 32X, where it like has a layer and then it has a Genesis layer, and then you have both of those that could be on the screen at the same time. Or like for the Sega Saturn. The Saturn has 2 independent video processors that can layer their stuff. So it's kind of ahead of its time in that way. There's a lot about the Super Grafx that's kind of ahead of its time. It is fully backwards compatible with the PC Engine, so it'll play all the TurboGrafx PC Engine stuff, the CD stuff, and of course this new Super Grafx stuff. And there's not a lot of actual Super Grafx stuff retail, but there is some work done and being done on Super Grafx homebrew and stuff like that. There's some hacked versions of some Super Grafx games that do some improvements on some things. There's even hacked TurboGrafx game that makes it a Super Grafx game. So yeah, very interesting stuff. It's a very cool console, and I've got it turned on right now. Ooh. So let's bring it up. Here it is. It's up, and my TurboEverdrive Pro is in it, and this is the basics of what that looks like when you have it set up. Okay. So if you're going to make the TurboEverdrive work properly, there's some things you got to do. Now, I know that some of my friends have played around with this TurboEverdrive Pro. If you're using it on the Analog Duo, it's different. There's different things you have to do. I think there's a completely different firmware that they want you to use. And the setup is different. But using it on a Super Grafx here or on a TurboGrafx or PC Engine, basically that's the settings are going to be very similar, but there is some difference. So anyway, before I do too much, remember I've got the EDFX plugged into the back. The EDFX is that video processor thing that you plug into the back that gives you output for RGB that then lets me use my HD Retrovision cables. And that's relevant because if you're going to get stereo audio and CD audio out of this thing, you really do need something like that. If I press select, it brings up the options menu, which this is very important stuff for a lot of reasons. You go into the options, you can set an in-game, you can set it to where like there's a certain button combination you can set up for going back to this menu, so you don't have to go over and press the button that's on the actual device. Audio options are very important too, because there's different presets in here depending on what you've got set up. See, there's the analog preset, the core graphics, core EDFX, TurboGrafx, EDFX. It's like going to be different depending on what you're trying to do here. So this is something you can tinker with the individual settings to get the mix how you want it to be. But yeah, anyway, that's what I have set up, just direct like that, and it works pretty good. So yeah, different things. The default device that it has here is it's asking you if you want your default virtual device. It's not a real device. It's basically asking you how you want to save your stuff, like when you have save games. Now, this is not for the CD games that are in ISO format. Those are going to save each individually in their own folder, so you don't have to worry about any of that. This is for like turbo chips and hue cards that save games. Like normally they would save on your memory for your CD drive or for the Turbo Booster Plus. There's a bank device. It's something. TNK2 is sort of an abbreviation for this, and I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's a Japanese name. And it's a bank device that lets you save games. So that's what it's set to right now, is this virtual bank device. So I can save my turbo chip games, the ones that let you save, and do that. But you could set it to off, or the CD, like to simulate like the storage from a CD-ROM, the backup for that. But I just have it to this because this seems to work pretty good, and I think you might have more backup memory for that. So that's what I have that set to. Cheats are a thing now, and if you find these cheat codes, and it's not like the old school cheat codes that you would find in magazines and stuff. It's a string of characters. You can find these on the internet, and you can set up cheats for individual games and save them so that you can easily go back to them. I'll show you that in just a minute. One thing you want to do if you're going to play ISOs, like CD ISOs and stuff, is when you set up your folders, when you set up your system and everything, you want to make sure that you go into the BIOS folder and actually put the BIOSes in there. And if you don't do that, the CD games will not work. So you got to make sure you put those in there. And I have some different ones in there, but I only need one, really. So I really don't even need to have 3 of them in there. But I have overkill stuff. So anyway, there's also themes. And if you go here, you can set different themes to make everything look different. Like there's one theme, 240p sweet theme. This one here, set this one. See how it changes it to look like that. Changes the fonts and everything. So there's different themes you can set up, which is pretty cool. But I'm just using this default one because it's not a big deal to me. So, but there are themes. And I think you can actually make themes for this thing too, which is pretty cool. So anyway, there's that. Okay, I have a folder here for firmware, which doesn't need to be on here anymore, but I put it there because if you're going to update your firmware, put it in a folder that says firmware so you remember what it is. And then if you run that, it'll do the update on the card itself, which we don't need to do because we've already done that. But that's how you can update it. Download the newest firmwares from Crix's website and all that. All right, I got all the ISOs, not every single one, but I got a ton of them. So we're running the CD games straight off the card, and they run fabulously. We'll get to that in a minute. Some homebrew stuff. This one and this one are actually CDs that I bought, and I ripped them and made ISOs out of them so I could just play them off of this. And this is another one here that I got off of itch.io, I think. It's not a complete game, but it's pretty cool. And then we have all of our ROMs. All of the ROMs, my friends. And if we go to Supergrafx, I have several here. There's some of these are retail, and some of these are different than that. One thing I will do, I'm going to show you this different stuff. We're not going to look at everything because some of it's just kind of like test stuff, like all these Axelay things, but some of this stuff is pretty amazing. Yes, there's an R-Type. It's not complete. It's only been improved for the first 3 stages of R-Type, but it's the TurboGrafx version of R-Type, but it's improved to where there's less flicker and it's the full screen resolution, so the screen doesn't like scroll up and down. Because for the TurboGrafx and PC Engine R-Type, the screen had to scroll up and down slightly as you went, and in this version, it doesn't do that. It's higher resolution. So we'll check that out too. But first things first, we got to look at actual Super Grafx games. I also have, like, here's Ghouls and Ghosts, and I have an improved version of Ghouls and Ghosts that will also reduce flicker and do some stuff like that. So, yeah, Ghouls and Ghosts is one of those, like, flagship of the few titles that were ever released for Super Grafx. One of the flagships of it. So I'll actually just go ahead and fire up the improved version. It's this hacked version here, and we can take a quick look at it. And I'll try to catch up on chat a little bit. Sorry about that. Okay, let's see here. Kuya's a cool cat. Meow. Meow. PJ says, so where does the CD go? Well, if you hook up a CD-ROM to the Super Grafx, there's a couple of ways you can do that. The PC Engine CD-ROM, Super CD-ROM that came out, just plugs straight into the back port of the Super Grafx, and it makes it very big. It takes up a huge amount of space. If you want to use the older PC Engine CD-ROM that sort of looks like a briefcase or a suitcase or something, then you have to get attachments that plug into the back port and the front port of the Super Grafx. It's a little weird. But we're just playing CD games off of the TurboEverdrive, so I don't have to worry about that. It's all set up to just work. Max says, are TurboGrafx games reasonable price on the secondhand market? Absolutely not, Max. The TurboGrafx games are insane. There's a few games you can get that are reasonable. You know, there's a few turbo chip games, and maybe even a couple of CD games that you could pick up that are not too bad. And some are very affordable. Like, there's a handful that are very affordable, like Victory Run and you know, some of the very first games, Power Golf. So, like, some games are not too bad. But there are games that go into the hundreds of dollars, and there are some that go into the thousands of dollars. Yeah. And if you want the really good ones, you're going to pay. It's not going to be good. You're going to pay a lot. And the Super Grafx games retail are all very, very expensive. So, yeah, if you want to buy any Super Grafx game, any Super Grafx game retail, it's going to cost you quite a bit. Thanks, Kanye West. It's all your fault. I will blame him for all time. Sorry. Dragon Cheese says, reasonable if you're an oil tycoon. Well, there you go. I'm not, so that's why I have a TurboEverdrive Pro. Magical Chase 4 is thousands of dollars loose. Yeah, it's crazy. You know what's funny, Evil? Back in the day, the electronics store that I did that video about, the Walden Software in the Killeen Mall in Texas, they had that freaking game there. They had Magical Chase. And I, at one point, looked at it. I didn't buy it because I wasn't into the cute-em-ups in those days. But I had the opportunity to buy that game back in the day. And had I known what it was going to be worth, oh my goodness. Yes, that would have been a thing that I could have done. PJ says, I got Power Golf complete in box for $14.95. There you go. See, that's what I'm saying. There's a few games that are very affordable. But it's not everything, obviously. So yeah, this is Ghouls and Ghosts, Dayamakamura, or however you pronounce it. This version is obviously the graphics are really good. It's got a really good color usage. If you compare this to the Genesis version, it's a pretty big improvement. If you compare it to the Super Nintendo Super Ghouls and Ghosts, that's where you start to see that the Super Nintendo has some advantages with the effects that it can do and colors and music and stuff. So, but at the time, this sucker right here, this was like, wow, look at this, very impressive stuff. Really good animation, color usage. It's still got the same sound chip as a regular PC Engine, but yeah, it sucks that there was only a few games made for this console. So like I said, it's really not a console you need to buy. But when have I ever been reasonable? I want to show you something here. I got this. Let's see if the combo works to get out of the game. Yes. Okay. So I have a button combo I can hit without having to actually go over and press the button on the EverDrive. But I want to show you this. All right. So you can set up these cheats. And you put these button combinations in, and then you can name them whatever you want to name them. But if you put them in, it saves them on the card. So if you ever want to enable these cheats, you can easily go back to these and just turn them on. Like some of them require 2 different lines to work. That's why I have this one that says never lose armor 1 and 2. So to turn that on to where I never lose armor, I actually have to turn both of those on. And then I would never lose my armor. Some of them are just 1 line, like the first one, that's just 1 line. So you don't have to do 2 for that one. But yeah, but every single game, you can look up these number strings. They have these cheat codes listed. You can find them on the internet, and then you can set them up on your card, and then they're just always available to you. You can turn them off, you can turn them on, and finally beat some of these freaking games that you could never beat otherwise. Because I am not above cheating. I have never been above cheating. I have never made that claim. I will cheat. If there's a game I've always wanted to beat and I could never beat, then I encourage you, cheat. Beat the damn game. See the ending. You know, we only live so long. We got to do what we got to do. Kuya says, don't say Kanye West. It's against the new YouTube term. Oh, okay. Sorry. Oh, my bad. I'm going to get canceled. My channel's going to get taken down. My bad. And Drunky Cheese, I cheat almost exclusively. That's true. That's true. Drunky cheats. There you go. And also, since you brought that up, Evil, if I start this game and then I go into that menu, look at that. Save states and load states, right? Now, for some reason, and I think it has something to do with the 2 different graphics chips, save states don't work for Super Grafx games. Okay? They work with regular TurboGrafx and PC Engine games, but they don't work for Super Grafx games. At least that's what Crix says. My guess is they might work, or they might have glitches because of that. So, for whatever reason, unfortunately, I can't really use save states on the few Super Grafx games that there are. But that's okay, because we got the cheats, so it's not a big deal. Also, they don't work on the CD games. At least that's what he says. But I think, like I said, some of them probably do work. He's just like, out of an abundance of caution, trying to tell you they don't work. So, anyway, there's that. But, there's, like I said, there's a few actual retail Super Grafx games. 1941... Aldines, however you say this, that's another one. Battle Ace, that was actually the original Super Grafx game. I think it was, I don't know if it was a pack-in, but it was the first one. I know that. Daimagamura, which is Ghouls and Ghosts. Darius Plus is a TurboGrafx game that has Super Grafx enhancements. There's another Darius that also has that. It's very minor enhancement, but it does have that. And then Granzort is the last retail game. So that's all the retail games. The rest of this stuff is hacks and demos and stuff like that. I want to show you a couple of these things before we go back and play any of the regular stuff. I just want to show you like some of this, some of these hacks. Okay, so you ever played Axelay on the Super Nintendo? It's a really awesome shmup, and it has this really cool effect on the screen. You'll recognize what I'm talking about when I load this up. This is not a game. This is just a demo that the guy was working on just to show what could be done with the Super Grafx. So I'm just going to show you what this looks like. I can control the little ship here, but this is not actually a game. This is just a graphical demo to show you what the Super Grafx could do on it. So yeah, that's a very similar effect to what Axelay does. And interestingly enough, it's actually a higher resolution than what the Super Nintendo was doing with Axelay. So the color palette for the PC Engine is 512 colors, and the PC Engine can put 256 on the screen at one time. But since the Super Grafx has 2 graphic chips, each layer can have its own set of colors. So theoretically, you could have all of the colors on the screen at one time, depending on how they code the game. So there's a huge potential for some really colorful stuff on the Super Grafx. The Super Nintendo could do 256 on the screen, and then I think later they were able to figure out how to push that to the full. Well, Super Nintendo does 32,000 colors total, but on screen I think they got it up to like 512. So there's a lot of similarity in what's possible with the Super Grafx and the Super Nintendo. That's all I'm trying to say. Kobayashi Maru, that bastard. What? What does this have to do with Star Trek 2? I don't understand. Kuya said they should have turned it to play Choice 10 style arcade back in the day. Dude, there's so many things they could have done. I don't understand. They put this thing out and then like walked away from it like right away. I was like, wow. It's very crazy. Super Grafx is awesome. It really is. Gorgeous. Well, thank you, sir. Oh, the game. Yes, the game. Yes. What's up, Prime One? How you doing? Prime One? All right, so you can see what this demo is all about. It's just a demo that shows what that effect could do. It's some of them, because they're demos, I got to actually turn it off and back on and get out of it. No big deal. All right, back to the Super Grafx. And some of these other demos are just the same. Like here's a cloud one that's sort of doing the same thing that like you would see in Axelay, that sort of thing. It's just demos, nothing too crazy. But it's pretty impressive looking. The colors and the graphical effects and stuff, pretty impressive. So this one that I was talking about earlier, this R-Type homebrew, before I show you this, I should show you the TurboGrafx one so you can see the comparison of what I'm talking about. So we'll go to the TurboGrafx, pull up R-Type. Where's it at? R-Type. All right. And now watch how the screen, you see the way the graphics look and everything, but see how it like scrolls up and down slightly so they can get everything in there. Now this is a fantastic version of R-Type. I'm not saying it's a bad version, but it does have that one slightly strange thing about it because the screen has to scroll up and down to get the full thing in there. Alright, so let me show you what they did for this other version, this Super Grafx hack of that. So here's R-Type for Super Grafx. And basically what it's doing is it's running the game at a higher resolution. See, unfinished Super Grafx hack, see that? Thank you, Chris Cavell, very much. I wish he would have finished it, but he did get the first 3 levels of it done. So yeah, now the screen does not scroll up and down, and it's a higher resolution on the screen. So if he had finished it, this would be like, this would be like basically arcade perfect, you know? But at least you get the first 3 levels. It's fun to at least try out and, enjoy that way. Now Prime 1 is going to make me play Clouds. Prime 1, the original PC Engine has more on-screen colors than the Super Nintendo. NEC is superior. Nintendo, inferior. Oh, wow. I was hearing Soundwave from Transformers the movie as you said that. NEC, superior. Nintendo, inferior. How dare you? Trying to start a battle. Some kind of war. Kuya says, that's not arcade perfect sound, sir. Wow, excuse me. Sheesh. Now, there's also a CD version of R-Type for the PC Engine called R-Type Complete, but it also scrolls up and down. So the Super Grafx hack does something that none of those do. So it's pretty cool. Now, I'll tell you this. There's a homebrew version of R-Type for the Genesis that is either out or still being developed. I've got a ROM for it, and it's spectacular. So if you want to see something really cool, track down the R-Type hack, or the R-Type homebrew. It's not a hack, it's a homebrew, for the Mega Drive, for the Genesis. Very impressive. Very impressive. Of course, I have all the R-Type games for the Super Famicom, and those are also really cool. A little bit too much slowdown on the first one, but R-Type 3 is freaking badass. Yes, we are all nerds, Kuya. We are all nerds. Absolutely. I'm in full-on TurboGrafx, Super Grafx nerd mode right now, so I make no apologies. You knew what this was. You knew what this was. All right. So you get that. You see how that works. All right. So here's a shmup, Aldines, or Aldinus, or however you want to say it, for the Super Grafx. That's pretty impressive. And I've never been able to do jack shit in this game. So I'm definitely going to be hooking up the cheat codes. I haven't put them in for this one yet. So that's something I got to set up. But we can at least look at it for a second. If you've never seen Aldinus, Aldines, however you say it, I don't know. It's pretty good. It does some pretty good graphical effects and stuff. There's so many good shmups on this platform. Absolutely. We've been waiting for this. I know, I've lusted over the Super Grafx since I very first saw it. Since that very first article in Electronic Gaming Monthly back in 1989. I have dreamed of the Super Grafx, but I just could never justify it, you know, and I still can't justify it. But the point is, I've gotten to the age where I just don't care anymore. It doesn't need to make sense. It doesn't need to be logical. I've decided if I want a thing bad enough, I need to just do it, and that's why I got this. Prime 1 says, there should be more Konami and Data East games on NEC consoles. Yeah, there's a few Konami games, some of which are freaking fantastic, like Snatcher, that never came to the United States and still have not been English translated. To this day, if you want to play Snatcher, you pretty much got to play the Sega CD version, right? As far as 16-bit consoles. You can play it, you know, you can try to play it, the PC Engine version, because it looks beautiful. But it's all Japanese, so you can't really enjoy it. But that's the story with TurboGrafx, is this console died in the United States because so many of the best games never came over. Dracula X, Rondo of Blood, you know? Probably the best game on the console. You know, probably the best Castlevania game other than Symphony of the Night. Never came to the United States. Nobody even played it over here unless you bootlegged it or found a way to import it. You know, now it's like everybody loves that game. Everybody lists that game as one of their top, you know, Castlevania games, if not their top. But that's the story, man. Drunken Cheese, probably the only Super Grafx stream right now in the universe. Indeed. Snatcher? I hardly knew her. We'll look at Snatcher. I gotta show you some CD stuff, but We're just kind of going through some of the Super Grafx stuff real quick. I can't believe I have a Super Grafx. I'm still in shock that I actually have this console. And it's so beautiful. It really is. It looks like some kind of steampunk like thing from it looks like it's out of Snatcher. And Snatcher is like basically like Blade Runner. If you've never seen Snatcher, it's basically Blade Runner. Like, it totally is Blade Runner. Hideo Kojima made it. It's one of his early, well-publicized games. And he basically just made Blade Runner, you know? I mean, blatantly. Blatantly just made Blade Runner. But it looks like something out of that. Super Grafx is super cool. Kuya says, Yoshi's Island probably felt like a direct response to Bonk. Really? That's interesting. You know, the first Bonk is pretty good. I really like the first Bonk. But that second one, Bonk's Revenge, that's a really, really, really good game. The third one is fine. You know, whether you talk about the chip version or the CD version, it's good. It's 2-player. It has some extra stuff that's pretty cool. But Bonk's Revenge, man, that's still... it holds up so well. That's such a good game. That is such a good game. And Air Zonk is also really good, but obviously that's a shmup. But, yeah. I have the 2 Super Famicom Bonks that they made, and they're interesting. They're a little weird. My favorite is always going to be Bonk's Revenge. Prime 1, Cyrus, if you can't justify buying the Super Grafx in your mind, just get an Apple Pippin and Memorex. You know what, Prime? One of these days I'm going to buy me an Apple II GS, just because I have always wanted to have an Apple II GS since I was a kid. Since I was in the 5th grade and walked into that classroom the first day, my teacher had an Apple II GS. I never knew it was a thing. And I was a big Apple computer guy back then. We had a 2E at home. And the teacher would let me come into class early. I could come in like 30 minutes early and play with the Apple II GS. And I did that almost every morning in the 5th grade. And I freaking love that computer. So one of these days, I'm going to get an Apple II GS, and that's expensive as hell too. So it doesn't make sense to get. But one of these days, that'll be something I do. Mr. Cheese was quicker than me. Oh wow. Oh, the Snatcher. I hardly know her thing. Look at that. Look at all the parallaxing on there. That's pretty cool. So, you know, the thing is, PC Engine can do this sort of stuff, but the Super Grafx adds like an entire another layer of graphics. So what that means is sometimes you could technically do some of this stuff on PC Engine, but you might have a lot of flicker, or you might even have some slowdown. And in those cases, you don't get that with Super Grafx, or as much with Super Grafx. And then sometimes you get layers. You have so many layers that you can do with Super Grafx to where you can do extra effects that just look very impressive. I gotta play through I want to play through all these Super Grafx games. I don't care if I have to cheat to beat them. I really don't care, because I need to see everything that's in these games. Because I've heard there's some graphical effects later in all of these, in pretty much every Super Grafx game as you play it, that are very, very impressive to look at. And the animation in Ghouls and Ghosts is, you know, I was playing it a little bit last night, and I've always done absolutely horrible in that game, but I was cheating and I got a little bit further than I've ever got, and I was like, whoa, this looks great. The animation is so good. Oh, Wired Up Retro, what's up, dude? What's up, man? Good to see you, dude. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. He says, I have some TurboGrafx 16 games in my latest video. I have really been learning to appreciate the system lately. Well, I'm really happy to hear that. We have so much in common, man, between our love for the Atari 5200, which a console that, seriously, our community of Atari 5200 lovers is not a big community. There's not a lot of people that love that console. And I'm happy to know you, dude. I'm very happy to know you. And I'm very happy that you come over here sometimes, because that's really cool of you. I appreciate that. And the more you learn about the TurboGrafx, it has all the weird quirkiness of the 5200, but in different ways. So it's perfect for you. I'm glad to hear that. It's a system you will love from its weirdness. Absolutely. BJ, this looks amazing. It does. It's very impressive. Drunken Cheese, this is mode 8, one step beyond the Super Nintendo. Good. It's like a 7-layer burrito of graphics. Wow, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. BJ, well, I gotta try this on my Analog Duo now. Dude, yes. See, now that I have the Super Grafx, PJ, anything's on the table when we want to play this platform, when we're playing it on our Super Duper Retro show. So, yeah. We got to get you set up with cheat codes, too, to figure out how to do that in the Analog Duo, because I'm not sure how that works in Analog Duo, but we got to get that figured out for you, too, because having these cheat codes available the way they are is like a game changer. Yeah, I said it. Sorry. Wired Up Retro, yes, definitely glad to know you as well. You're a cool guy. Thank you, sir. Dude, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Nick is here. Geekstorian. Good morning, Nick. Nick, such a good guy. Nick, I'm thank you for being here, dude. Thank you for coming to hang out. You know, Nick does some really cool documentary style videos. Some of them are really short, some of them are a little bit longer, and he goes into some depth about historical stuff for video games and consoles, and even just like concepts. Not a game always. Sometimes it's just like a concept from video games. Very fascinating stuff. If you guys haven't checked out his stuff, definitely check it out. Great stuff. He's on Rumble as well. Alright, I said we would look at some TurboGrafx stuff, and I wanted to show you guys what Snatcher looks like since we were talking about that. But yeah, there's still more Supergrafx stuff to look at. We haven't looked at 1941, which is beautiful, and a game that I'm desperate to see the later stages of because I've heard such good things. Battle Ace is kind of like... sort of like Afterburner, kind of. It's pretty good. And then Darius Plus is a TurboGrafx game that has a little bit of enhancement. And then, of course, Granzort, which is another really good-looking game. So there's still plenty of stuff to look at. I don't know if we'll get to everything during this stream, but, you know, whatever. Part of the other thing I'm doing here is talking about this EverDrive Pro, the TurboEverdrive Pro, and what you can do on it. And this is the first one that lets you actually do ISOs straight off the card. And each one of these ISOs is in its own folder. But you don't have... It recognizes them. And then when you save games, each one gets its own save file in each individual folder. So you never have to worry about managing the memory. You don't have to worry about saving too many games. This is the problem that you have with real hardware. Like if you have a Duo or a TurboGrafx CD or whatever, you only have so many memory slots, you know? But with this, it's all on the card. It saves it all on the card. So I don't have to worry about that. Plus, if I want to, I can then, since I have it all on the card, transfer it to emulators or whatever else and use those save files in different ways. So very impressive stuff. I don't have every single CD game here, but I do have a lot of them. That's why I put a 512 gig card in here, because I was like, I want to load everything. I want to use everything. But I still have a lot to add to it. But yeah, we were talking about Snatcher, so I'll show you. Although I can't really play it because it's never been translated, so but we can at least look at the game and you can see a little bit why people want to play this so bad. So if you really want to play Snatcher, you got to play the Sega CD version because it's in English. But this one, unfortunately, we can just stare at the graphics, basically. Oh, I forgot. Sometimes I gotta turn it off and back on when I've been playing other stuff. Sometimes you gotta do that. Okay, back to the thing. Snatcher. There we go. Now we go. And I'll just let it do its thing. We'll just, like I said, ogle the graphics. We'll just stare goofily at graphics for a game we can't really play. Snatcher. Cyberpunk adventure. Yes, this is basically Blade Runner. I mean, it's not even... It's just Blade Runner. Nick says, and yeah, I'm at home this morning and saw you streaming. Today is my work from home day. Oh, very nice. I'm off today. So I'll turn that down just a little bit. It's pretty loud. It's really cool, but it's loud. Oh, Last Line. What's up, dude? Last Line's here. You're live while I'm awake. Once in a while, the planets align. And I'm doing something while you're awake. It does happen. PJ, wow, there is something to be said about weekday morning streams. 16 people. Yeah, thanks, guys. This is great. This is fantastic. Why don't you learn Japanese for us and translate for us, Sai? It's what the people demand. I guess I could hold my phone up to the screen and do that Google Translate thing. Try to play like that. Popular console. Yeah, so what I wish somebody would do, and I don't know if you can do it because I don't know if the Sega CD version is similar enough to be able to do this, but I wish somebody would replace the audio with the Sega CD audio if that's possible, so at least you could have English audio. It's too bad that this hasn't ever been translated. I would have thought this would have been a top priority for those guys who do that, but it's never been done. Unfortunately, there's like a ridiculous amount of amazing games that have never been translated. So many RPGs. There's a ton of absolutely beautiful, amazing RPGs that have never had a translation done. I love this opening thing. Oh yeah. Are those arms? Snatcher. The detail is amazing in this. Yes, it is. It's really good. The Sega CD version looks good. It's just not as high a color palette, you know? But the Sega CD version does have one advantage over this. And that's that there are stages that you can use the light gun, the Konami light gun, in the Sega CD version, and you can't do that because there's no light gun for the PC Engine. But still, I would rather play the PC Engine version because the graphics are just much more colorful. Last Line, maybe it was not translated because the Sega CD version exists. I would think they were translate a version of the PS1 or Saturn would be higher priority. Yeah, probably so. Still, I can dream. I can dream. Maybe one day. I wish somebody would start a service where, like on Kickstarter or itch.io or something, where they just basically whore themselves out to translate games and just say, what do you guys want? And if you want it, it's going to cost this amount of money for me to do it because it's going to take this amount, you know, it's going to take a lot of time. So if you fund it, I'll do it. I wish people would do that. I know that's asking a lot, but I wish there was a service where somebody would be like, hey, if you guys can put together this amount of money, then I'll translate, you know, here's a list of games. You guys put your money on which ones you want. That would be awesome. Drunky Cheese, get a Japanese girlfriend and she can read the game while you play. That's a good idea. I'll just do that. Okay, good. I'll just go do that. I'll be back. Hang on. Let me go get a Japanese girl. Hang on. They should do a Patreon. Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's so many of us that would pay to have these things done. Absolutely. And I think that some of the companies that are re-releasing games, like those Cosmic Fantasy games, they've figured out that people will pay for that, which is why they did the new text part, at least translations for Cosmic Fantasy 3, the 2 updates to that, and Cosmic Fantasy 4 also, right? Unfortunately, it's not a full translation as far as audio, but it is text translated. I just wish, you know, like I said, that the community could figure out something to get some more of this stuff done. Oh wow, Drunky Cheese, how dare you, how dare you. So, you know, I've got a PC Engine Duo RX, and I have a TurboGrafx CD that both work very, very well. And I can compare the loading from the TurboEverdrive Pro as far as CD games. I can compare it to real hardware because I have a couple different variants of that I can compare it to. I gotta say, it works really well. Even the full motion games like Sherlock Holmes, it came from the desert. The full motion holds up. It actually works pretty well. It works as good as it does on original hardware. So if you're curious as to what it's going to be like, if there's going to be any major differences or anything, there's really not. You even get the same little loading pauses that you would get on original hardware. So it's, you know, it's great. It's a great way to play the CD games. Now see here, I can't really play this because it's all Japanese. Yeah. But I would love to someday. That would be great. All right. And I'll show you the full motion stuff so you can see what I'm talking about. So we'll pull up Sherlock Holmes 2. Here we go. The original Sherlock Holmes was a regular TurboGrafx CD game, and Sherlock Holmes 2 was a Super CD game. The difference being RAM usage, because the Super CD games were, you know, they had a lot more. They could utilize a lot more RAM because of the Super System card. But I'll tell you, the video in both of these games looks the same. I don't really know what they did with that RAM. Because this Holmes introduction is in both games. It looks basically identical in both versions. I thought maybe this was a little bit higher color, but I can't really... It looks basically the same. So, anyway.
London is not a beautiful city. Under the soot that covers its buildings is a teeming mass of 4 million souls.
No Sherlock. No shit, Sherlock. I got you.
Off of each other.
Oh, what's up, Casey?
Thankfully, we have the London Times to keep us informed of all these troubling activities with an unbiased eye and razor-sharp accuracy. We find this publication to be of invaluable assistance in our investigations, and I'm sure you will as well.
Yeah,
Among
that
the
would be
forces of
a
evil
good
which
thing to
run
do,
rampant
a
in this
comparison
city,
side by side.
there are also
There is a
thankfully
slight
two groups of
difference, but I don't know
individuals who will
exactly
aid
what
us
it
in our
is.
cause. As we do, they attempt to right wrongs and restore harmony and civility to the streets of London. The first of these groups is a ragtag
I remember
association of young
a while
ruffians.
back, I had
call
talked
them
about full
the
motion
Baker
video
Street
on the
irregulars.
TurboGrafx, and somebody had commented in
They
the
may be
comment
stuck in
section
deal bread.
that I was
They are
lying
right side
because
of
the
the law.
TurboGrafx and PC
They
Engine
can
could
go
not do
everywhere,
full
see
motion video.
everything, and
They're like, you're
overhear
lying.
everyone.
Sega CD can do
They
full
are my
motion, but
eyes and ears in the
TurboGrafx and
streets
PC
of
Engine
London.
can't. You're a liar.
Unquestionably a tremendous
And I was like,
asset in our work.
really?
They will help us
I'm
in our
lying?
investigations if they can.
Okay.
The other group is a far more civilized
I guess this
collection of
video is
gentlemen and
fake
institutions.
that you're looking at right
I
now
call
because it could
the
only
Baker
be done
Street
on Sega CD.
regulars. They too will be extremely useful in our work.
I don't know.
At the start of any investigation,
It's funny how
do keep in
people
mind that it is a capital mistake
on the
to
internet
theorize before one
will
has data.
throw out the word lie
Unwittingly,
or
one begins to
liar
twist facts
all the
to
time
suit theories instead of
without
theories to suit
like
facts.
with it's like this
The
weird
people of
little
Basic
childish
I will
thing
now
that people will
introduce
do.
will help us to
It's
collect
very
the
strange.
facts. May we
It's
use
like
them wisely.
maybe you should think for a minute. Maybe. I don't know. It is what it is. Oh man. Geekstorian, I mean, any CD-based medium could do full motion video. Well, that's an interesting point. I mean, theoretically, I guess, depending on how low a quality you go and what the processor is capable of. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Druggy Cheese, is it okay to be this excited about this? I'm such a nerd. Yes, it's okay. That's what we do here. We get excited about nerd shit. That's what we do. It's okay. You're among friends. PJ, dirty, rotten, filthy, evil liar. How dare you, PJ? How dare you? How dare you? Nick says it was more a space thing than anything. Yeah. Indeed, sir. All right. Back to the Super Grafx stuff. Back to the Super Grafx. Let's see. Next up, let's check out Battle Ace. Like I said, the first Super Grafx game. I think it's pretty good. It's not terrible. You know, it's not like the best game ever made, but it's fun. It's a legit like flying game. You know, like similar to Top Gun, similar to in ways like Afterburner, stuff like that. Battle Ace. Geekstorian, no, you're not allowed to be excited. Points and judges. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh my. It's a little scary. Nick is scary. Last line. Did you do Axley already? Never knew that had that. Well, Axley thing is a demo. It's not actually a game. It's just trying to show you what could be done with the Super Grafx. We were looking at it earlier. Obviously, Axley was a Super Nintendo game. Great game. So the demo just kind of shows you what the graphics could do. If you want, I'll throw it back on in just a second, real quick, just to show you what it is. But it's not really a game. It's just like a graphical demo. Okay, we kind of get the point with Battle Ace. So you got that. We'll look at that real quick. Axelay demo. All these Axelay things is different versions of that demo. But this is the biggest one. This is the main one. So, yes, you can control your little ship in this demo, but you can't actually do anything. It's just the graphic demo. Chris Covell made a bunch of really nice demos. There's some that I don't have. I got to try to track down some that are a little bit like, there's one that is actually like a shmup. Like, I don't know if it's a full game, but it looks really nice. I just haven't tracked it down yet, so I got to try to do that with some more stuff. But yeah. All right, so there you go. You get that. I think we'll look at Granzort next. And then we'll do 1941 after that. So here's Grand Zort. I still just can't believe I can actually play these games. It's like, I'm not emulating. It's happening. Last line says, I guess it's just a, hey, we can do mode 7 thingy. Yeah, it's just that guy making these demos to try to basically inspire people in the homebrew community to be like, hey guys, you could do this. There's things you could do with the Super Grafx that you might not realize are possible. Yeah, this homebrew community for PC Engine and TurboGrafx is a lot like that. There's several people that do stuff. They're not actually making games. They're just doing like conceptual type stuff. Like that Turbo X-Ray guy who has all those ROMs that are just like images that show the high color output that's possible. So it's an interesting community. You know, some people are making games, some people are translating games, and some people are just making demos to kind of show like what's possible. These old consoles still working. It's awesome. Yeah, so, you know, in the video that I did, I opened this thing up and I clipped off that one little piece of plastic inside that you need to take care of for Super Grafx. And I did hear back from Chris Courage, who's done all my mods and stuff. And he's done plenty of work on Super Grafx stuff. He took a look at the video that I did, and since I was able to record that motherboard in pretty good detail and everything, he let me know everything looks really good. And as far as I could tell from everything that I saw, I thought it looked really good. I didn't smell any kind of weird, like if the caps have issues, usually you can smell like this weird fishy smell, but didn't smell anything, didn't see anything weird. Everything looks fantastic. So my Super Grafx seems to be top tier. It seems to be very well kept. So I'm very, very happy about that. Last line, why did you have to cut that little thing? Well, there's a flaw in the design of the plastic case for the Super Grafx, and they have this post at the bottom of the case that unfortunately presses on a specific part of the motherboard, and there's like, chances are nothing will ever be wrong, it'll be fine. But some people, if you put pressure on the console, if something, whatever, there could be certain circumstances where because that post is pressing up on the motherboard like that, it has been known to sometimes crack the motherboard. And if it cracks the motherboard, it's not repairable. That was the big thing. That's the reason that Chris was like, make sure you do this, because it probably would be fine, but there could be a situation come up where something causes that post to crack your motherboard, and if that ever happens, you're fucked. There's nothing you can do. It's going to ruin your console. So I was a little bit concerned before I opened it what I was going to find inside. So I was very happy to see that I had no damage and everything was great, and was able to clip that out, and it's fine. So yeah, it's a documented flaw in the design of the console. It's a real problem. At least it can be a real problem. Chances are it won't be a problem, but it could be. So that's why he was like, make sure you get that taken care of. Prime says, Keith Courage Part 2 without the boy mascot. Yeah, kind of, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I definitely want to play through this game. Just really cool looking game. You know, I wish there was more Super Grafx games. I really do. And hopefully there'll be more hacks and homebrew stuff and stuff like that for Super Grafx, because you can do some really great stuff. It's too bad. It's too bad they didn't support it. Okay. Last that we're going to look at today, I guess we could look at Darius Plus, even though it's just it's a TurboGrafx game that has some Super Grafx enhancements. Not really much, very little. I think it's mainly just that it keeps it from flickering on the screen. So really not much. The last significant game to look at is 1941, which is actually the last Super Grafx game released, and a game I really want to play all the way through. I was watching, when we did that Super Duper Retro show, I was watching the guys play this on their analog duos, and I was very jealous. This might actually be what pushed me to the edge of buying a Super Grafx. Watching my friends play this game and me not being able to. I had to play 1943. I couldn't play 1941. Very upsetting moment. So PJ, Casey, honestly, I blame you for me buying a Super Grafx. It's your fault. So, but I guess I should thank you, because I really wanted one. I just had really tried to not think about it for a long time and not push it. I almost bought an analog duo a couple times, pretty much just because of Super Grafx stuff. And when I was thinking about buying this Super Grafx, I really did give a lot of thought to just buying an analog duo, because it probably would have made a lot more sense. It's actually cheaper. It would have been cheaper to buy an analog duo and do everything with that. But would that have made me happy? That's the thing, That's what I've come to discover from owning emulation stuff and FPGA consoles and stuff like that, is they're fantastic. They're really, really cool. But they're really not what I want. I'm weird. I'm a weird dude. And it would gnaw at me. Like, when I had the Mega SG and the Super NT, when I had the Nintendo one, the AVS, it was great. FPGA, HDMI output, very nice. But it wasn't real hardware, and I really wanted real hardware. So I ended up buying this top loader Famicom that's RGB modded. And I'm very, very happy with that. And nothing else was going to make me happy. And so that's where I'm at with the Super Grafx. So I'm very, very happy to finally have it. And I'm very happy that it works great and it's in good shape. And like I said, this will be the primary way that I play TurboGrafx, PC Engine, and Super Grafx stuff forever, going forward, until I die, probably. Or something terrible goes wrong with the hardware. You're welcome. Thanks, Casey. Woo, I'm to blame. Yes. Yes, you are. Last line, Cy was peer pressure. They made him play a Super Grafx. What are they going to make him do next? Yeah, I get pushed around a lot. I'm easily manipulated. I've heard that before. It seems to be accurate. Last line, 1941, 50th anniversary. Wow. Wow. Ooh. So, anyway, I got to set up cheats in some of these so I can actually beat them, because I won't be able to otherwise. But I'll be doing a lot more of TurboGrafx, PC Engine, and all this stuff as I can on the channel. Still working on some more of those Evercade videos. I do have some more cartridges coming for the Evercade. So, yeah, I put up some of my consoles that I had sitting out, because I just was like, I want to focus on certain consoles. So I did put up some that I don't really think I'll be playing anytime soon, like the 3DO, and I put up my Dreamcast. I put up the PlayStation 3. So right now I've got the Evercade and my Atari consoles hooked up. The Intellivision is hooked up. But I have the NES, Super Nintendo, the Genesis Master System, the Super Grafx, and the Saturn. And that's all I have over here. That's all I have hooked up. Everything else is put up. And I think that's a pretty good selection of stuff for streaming and doing videos. And I have the Evercade over here too, obviously. But yeah, sometimes we have too many choices. This is I've seen a lot of people talk about this recently. PK in the Universe talked about the Evercade stuff recently because I guess he had seen that I was doing some Evercade videos. And one of the things he was mentioning in his video was that sometimes we have so many choices that we get that choice paralysis where we just kind of, it's too much and we just don't know, and we kind of just don't really even play anything because we're just like, eh. So I think there is something to that. You know, once upon a time, a person that I knew on the internet who was really primarily a PC gamer had told me more choices is always better. And theoretically, I understand that, but I think in a real scenario, more choices is not always better, because sometimes you have so many choices that none of them stand out to you, none of them catch your attention, none of them draw you in, and you don't spend enough time with any one of them because you're just trying to hop around and try to get to this and that and try this and that. Kind of like what I'm doing right now, just hopping around, not really focusing on anything. So sometimes the more choices you have can actually be a problem. And that's such a bizarre concept, but I think there's something to that. I think there is. Let's see. Drunky Cheese Size getting a Zebo next. Or an N-Gauge? Wow. I don't know about that. PJ, I am hoping for a 3D printer. Prime One, I wanted a custom-made arcade cabinet for my Neo Geo, but the guy made the control panel for a Retro Pi. He asked me why I won't use a Retro Pi. I've said why you're asking me that when I have original hardware. I think that's a... Man, there are people that just don't think... I don't know. Dude, Prime One, I'm an original hardware guy too. I will play emulation stuff. Obviously, I like my Evercade. It's cool. You know, I'll play RetroArch or whatever. But I don't want to play RetroArch. Not really. The Evercade is a different situation because it's packaged a certain way and has a certain, you know, it creates a whole aesthetic to itself. So it's a different kind of thing. But yeah, I'm an original hardware guy. I just want to play that way for whatever reason. I can't really justify it or explain it, but I know exactly what you're saying. And not everybody gets that. Some people think that, you know, people like us who prefer original hardware are just stupid. You know, we're just dumb. We're just these old men with dumb ideas who just don't get it, and we're just stupid. We're just wasting our money. And I can't really refute that. I can't really say, nuh-uh, because in a lot of ways that's true, you know? But I think life is, life's about having experiences, and, you know, some people like certain things and they don't like other things, and they want certain things for whatever reason. Some of it's very personal. Nostalgia comes into play, absolutely. So I don't know. I don't know how to explain, or even if I should try to explain why I want what I want the way I want it. You know? Why does somebody want their steak cooked a certain way at a restaurant? You know? I don't know. Everybody wants what they want the way they want it. So I don't begrudge anybody if they're like, I only play PC games, or I'm only a Nintendo guy, or whatever. I can't enjoy in television. That's too old and weird for me. Okay. We're all going to have our interpretations of things. Absolutely. Last line says, more choices is generally good, but sometimes can be very distracting. That's true. That is true. I mean, I'm not saying more choices is a bad thing. I'm just saying sometimes it could be a problem. You know, it can be. Drunken Cheese. Prime One has the same problem, but with women. Wow. Okay. Last line. They want you to just do RetroPie so that the prices crash because nobody wants OG hardware and they can scoop it up cheap. It's genius. I don't know. That's like a Alex Jones level conspiracy, man. Maybe there's some truth to that, but I don't know. That's a lot. I don't know. Prime One, I think cheap people are annoying. That's why I hang in Beverly Hills and not. Oh, okay. All right, dude. All right. We know what's going on there. We understand. That's Reno. How's your Super Turbo going? It's a Super Grafx, sir. But I will accept the name Super Turbo. It's basically the Super Turbo, so it's going very well. Definitely enjoying it. It's good to see you, Bassarino. Thank you, sir. Bassarino? Is it Bassarino or Bassarino? I always said Bassarino. Maybe it's Bassarino. Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. Prime One Chuck E. Cheese ain't lying. He doesn't lie. He never lies. Would I lie? Remember that from Spaceballs? Oh my god. I'm so happy with my Super Grafx. I didn't realize how well this controller aesthetically matched the Super Grafx until I set it next to it. I was like, oh wow, that looks so good next to my Super Grafx. They had the same color palette basically. It's like very nice. I'm so happy with it. Completely unnecessary console, but I love it. I'm going to enjoy the hell out of it and share some of that with you guys. I really appreciate you being here this morning to do that, to enjoy a little bit of this very first taste of my Super Grafx. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming to hang out with me and just trying to have some fun, you know, not fun at other people's expense, just have some fun. You know, I think that's something that we need more of on the internet. It's just enjoying yourself, having a good time, hanging out with friends, and I'll leave it at that. So, all about that bass, no trout. Oh, wow. Drunky Cheese, he didn't play anything. We were bamboozled. Sweet controller. What is that plug? What does the plug look like? Oh, it's the PC Engine plug. I have an extension cable, but yeah, the Super Grafx uses the same plug as their standard PC Engine, which is a smaller version of the TurboGrafx. You can use this on a TurboGrafx. You just have to have that adapter that makes it the bigger one. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. It looks kind of like an S-video cable for the PC Engine. A typical Cyrus stream. Yes, very typical. Okay, thanks guys for being here. Thanks for hanging out with me. More stuff coming soon. Wired Up Retro. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Last Line. Drunky Cheese. Prime One. Bassarino 84, the Intellivision Gamer Casey, PJ Smith, so many awesome people, so many good friends. Let's see, the Geek Storian Nick. Again, guys, check out Nick's channel. Check out Wired Up Retro also if you haven't, because dude, You want to get into some really cool hardware stuff, check out Wired Up Retro. Wow. You will be fascinated with the things this guy has figured out and has picked up as far as controllers and different options for things. Very, very fascinating channel. Very, very good channel. Let's see. Who else? Oh, Kuya was here. Thank you, sir, for hanging out. It's Mr. Kuya. He's pretty cool. Yeah, he's pretty cool. Metal Torso, the Iron Chest. Thank you, sir. Wiley, thank you for being here. Thanks for hanging out with us. And it's as far back as I can go. So if anybody else was before that, my apologies. If anybody else was here that didn't say hi, I'm sorry. I will award you 10 points if you remind me another time. Luke shows up just in time for us to finish. Luke. You must join with us. Luke, thank you for being here. Guys, this has been fun. It's been a good little intro to the world of Super Grafx for me. I'm going to be playing this quite a bit. So yeah, you'll see more of that. Just sub to Wired Up. I recommend Wired Up Retro very much. And Luke, since Luke is here, I'll tell you guys, Luke does some awesome streams. Pretty much keeps it family friendly, except when he's doing his survival horror stuff. So it's pretty obvious when when things are gonna go a little different direction. But you can check out Luke's channel. He's got some awesome stuff on there too. Just glad to be a part of the Finisher. That's what Luke's nickname is, the Finisher. That's right. Although he did finish Donkey Kong 64 the other day. And that's something. That's something to be very proud of. So these graphics are super mega. Indeed. Indeed they are. All right. That's it for right now. But I'll see you guys again soon. Y'all take care. And I gotta go. Peace out, yo.
There's something happening on the TV. Brilliant colors flashing in front of me. My heart just stopped, eyes open wide. This might be heaven, but I haven't died. I'm a fire-throwing plumber with a golden axe. I'm stalking a robot, setting bombs on wall cracks. My arm is a gun, I hit a home run. Can't believe I just won, this is too much fun. Super Mega Graphics 64 Retro games and a whole lot more. All of the titles that we adore, the best of today and what came before. There's too much awesome to contain, cause this channel's all about the games. Joysticks, gamepads, a golden disc in our hands. Wild surprise fills our eyes. One friend cries as his character dies, but our lives will rise, eyes on the prize, as I defy demise with a surprise. Show them a code that gives us 30 lives. Dodging red turtle shells as I speed ahead, buying weapons and armor for the battle I dread. Desperate for med kits cause of all I've bled, building so tall of a wall to keep out the undead and bump them with my head. Super Mega Graphics 64 Retro games and a way more. All of the titles we all adore, best of today and all that came before. There's way too much awesome for us to contain, cause this here channel is all about these games. Graphics, that's what I said. Super Mega Graphics, hosted by Cy. Super Mega Graphics 64 Retro games and a whole lot more. All of the titles that we adore, the best of today and what came before. There's too much awesome to contain, cause this channel's all about the games. Yeah! Graphics 64, playing the games that we all adore.